Ahoy there, Captain Benzie here, coming at you with another patch notes video for Eve Echoes. Now, whilst this isn't like some kind of crazy huge balance patch, this, to me, is a pretty exciting set of patch notes, as I'm sure you'll figure out why as we go along. Now, as usual, I like to talk about these patch notes and give my personal thoughts and opinions. I would love to hear yours in the comment section down below. I know this is 2021, but this is the internet. Please be aware that all the opinions voiced in this video are mine and mine alone. Let me know yours politely in the comments. Anyway, if you enjoy this video, as usual, hit like, subscribe, ding the notification bell, select all notifications, and if you want to go the extra mile to help support the channel, there is both a Redbubble merchandise store and a Patreon page that you can pledge to support. Anyway, let's have a look at the actual patch notes. So here we have Eve Echoes undergoing maintenance on the 15th of September 2021 at 0800 UTC plus 0. So we have gone back to this whole 0800 time, which to me is really annoying because that is literally 10 o'clock till 12 o'clock. By the time I wake up on a Wednesday morning, I'm just about to get started making content and then the server goes down. It's horrific. And I get that there were other people who had it before. It's purely a selfish thing. I think no matter where you have a maintenance like this, it's always going to upset some people. So, they've tried it. We've gone back to 0800 UTC. Anyway, Harvest Fest, that's a wrap. Secure Commerce Commission would like to thank all pilots for their efforts in the past 14 days. Trading routes are well protected. The Commercial Order of New Eden is under control. Harvest Fest will end at 0800 UTC on September 16th. This is the whole thing of like having lower amounts being spent when you go in, lower transaction taxes and things like that at the Amar Trading Centre. And it says here, the broker's fee and transaction tax of all orders in Amar Trading Centre will go back to normal after the event. That, to me, is pretty cool. I've really enjoyed this event, actually. Having a reason to go to a different trade centre other than Jita is pretty nice. And I've suggested before to the developers that a nice way to get people to go to different trading centres might be to offer this kind of lower transaction tax and broker's fee, for certain specific loot. So for example, if you're selling lasers, drones, armor tanking modules, and things like that in an Amar trading system, so either Amar or the ones in Tash Murkon, Kador, even Maspa over in Derelict and things like that, ones that are Amar related might get a reduction to those. Whereas if you wanted to sell something like missiles, railguns, and shield boosters, that could be a transaction reduction, lower transaction taxes and things like that in Jita and the other Kaldari ITCs. And then of course there'd be some crossover with this. So like if you're going to a Minmatar one, that would also be missiles, probably things like some of your basically, look at the loot. Look at the loot, and if it corresponds to a particular faction, then it would be cheaper cheaper to sell it in that faction's trading centres. And to me, that would be an interesting way to actually add some diversity to that. But hey, my personal thoughts, I'd like to see that added, and if anything, it's just this Harvest Fest has showcased to me that actually this is viable. A lot of people were trading at Amar to enjoy that lower broker's fee and transaction tax, and heck, I'd like to see more of that. Freighter Raid, here it comes. Dear Pilot, the exciting Freighter Raid is coming back, and this week's targets are Captain Benzie and Demon Zell. Oh yes, you guys are going to be hunting me in a freighter later this week. I've been playing around with a bit of live streaming just to see if it's something that I can actually do. Turns out that yes, it does somewhat work for me. So I'm going to be jumping into a new and improved Freighter Raid event. Things are very different this time around to how they were before. So you'll see here, my session is on September the 18th at 1700 UTC. Demon Zell's session is September 19th at 1900 UTC. So you've got two different time zones there. 1900 EDT, sorry. That is a difference there. I'm not exactly certain how EDT corresponds to UTC. You will need to type that into Google and figure that out to work out when your particular event is going to be. What this essentially means is we have a new and improved Freighter Raid event. This is going to be somewhat different to how it worked before. The mechanism will be adjusted to looking for the freighters in the Knossos Labyrinth. There will be 54 Freighter Raid Stargates everywhere in New Eden to meet the challenges of brave pilots. Our targets, Captain Benzie, yours truly, and Demon Zell, will hide in the Knossos Labyrinth, hunt down their freighters for a chance to win officer modules and goods worth billions of ISK. Now, this is pretty sweet. We have been talking with the developers a lot about what went well in the freighter raid events and what didn't go so well. So this time around, it's going to be myself and Demonzel who are going to be running this, myself up first, so I'm the guinea pig of this Knossos Labyrinth. As I can gather it, again, I've not seen this properly. I'm going into a full meeting about this meeting, God, like it's a business, meeting on this on Friday. And I'll find out exactly how it works there, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to be sworn to secrecy. But as I gather it, this sounds very much like a Nihilus space kind of thing. There are 54 gates in, and then there's a whole bunch of interconnected systems, and I'm going to be hiding in one of those, whilst you guys desperately try to hunt me down and blow me up. As it says here, PvP may occur in the Knossos Labyrinth. Please pilot a ship you can afford to lose. When Knossos Labyrinth starts to collapse, please leave in time, as if you fail to do so, you will be automatically transported to the star system where you enter from. If you're in null or low security regions, there may also be PvP actions there, so please carefully choose your region to enter from. For more event details, please check the in-game event page. Yeah, this is going to be quite cool, watching a load of people jump in via a same low-sec or null-sec gate. Ultimately, I'd love them to have one in Tama. That would be incredible. And then suddenly, when the whole event ends and the Knossos Labyrinth collapses, everyone's dumped into Tama and just it's piracy central. That would be hilarious. I'm really looking forward to this. I hope you guys are too. I think it could be a lot of fun just to have a nice chat and, you know, have a good time here killing a freighter. And I know a lot of people want to hunt Captain Benzie anyway, so yeah, I've never actually flown a freighter before off the Fulmination Content Creator Test server because of course I haven't. I'm not an industrialist. This is going to be quite the experience for me. I might get a bit of practice in, try some fits and things like that ahead of time. We'll see. I'm looking forward to it. Hope you are too. Anyway, now we come on to the main patch notes themselves. Here we have the optimizations first of all. Number 1, updated estimated prices based on successful transactions in the market. Same old, same old. Hopefully this now means that the Gamma and some of the other newer faction ships are now insurable, fingers crossed. Otherwise, it's just tweaking some of the values and making sure that everything's correct. Number 2, when quoting for insurance, the game prioritizes calculating the amount of IP needed based on the estimated price of materials. Now, this is a subtle but quite powerful change here. This is based on the estimated price of what goes into constructing the ship, not what it's selling for on the market. This should help industry out that little bit more by making sure that the cost of the cost of the buy order is relative to the cost of the materials that you've used in order to put it together. So I hope that does go a certain way to assisting with insurance. Again, I know people continually ask for, oh, just give us the ISK insurance. It's never going to happen. It's an easily abusable system. CCP themselves have said, nope, we do not want this. It's a terrible, terrible thing. It's not going to happen. Oh, make it 1-to-1. You pay 30% of the value of the ship to insure it. If it is 100%, 1-for-1 buy order, you're causing inflation. That's why it's about 30% to create, 30% of the ships destroyed create buy orders, because it costs about 30% of the ship's value to insure it. There are, tweaks that can be made, but the two main ones that are being asked for do not work and would ultimately undermine the system as it's supposed to operate. Number 3, a mysterious relic site will be spawned at a fixed time. Now, this to me, I'm hopeful here that what this actually is the developers trying out the EVE Online relic site idea, and then once this is, once it's spawned, it will be cleared. Once it's cleared, that relic site will disappear and reappear somewhere else in the same region, just like it does in EVE Online, but by giving it a unique name, the developers and players can keep an eye on how that's actually working as a way to help bring up exploration. Now, look, I can't guarantee that that's what's going on. I can't guarantee that's what's going on, but to my mind, that's a good way of doing it and giving it sort of a little trial to see if the EVE Echoes system is as good as it ought to be, or if they're going to go down a more EVE Online based route. Again, just for those of you who don't know, in EVE Online, when you clear a relic or data site, it goes on a cooldown timer. 2 minutes later, another site of the same type, data or relic, will spawn somewhere in the same region, but never in the same system as where it despawned. So if you were, say, in Lone Trek and you found a site, 2 minutes after that that site despawns, another relic or data site will spawn somewhere else in Lone Trek, never in the exact system that you're currently in. It's a great way to make sure there is always a data and relic site available somewhere in a region without allowing it to be farmable. The issue we have currently with the set sort of clear and respawn timer is that there is the entire possibility that an entire region has 0 relic or data sites in it, which absolutely sucks if that's the time you're going exploring. You can clear an entire region, scan every system and find nothing simply because there is nothing. Changing it to the EVE Online system, I'm a massive proponent for that, and I'm hoping, I can't confirm, that that's what's happening here. Number 4, insurance claims require a second confirmation if the player decides to waive the claim for some of the items. I'm not sure what's going on here. Is there a way to actually claim insurance cheaper if you're willing to just get the hull back and not all of the items? That's pretty cool. I missed that if that's the case, and certainly that's an interesting way to insure a ship a little bit cheaper than, obviously it would be otherwise. Number 5, added a prompt notifying players about the game's PvP aspect when creating new characters. Oh, thank goodness. Basically, you guys know that I'm a big fan of the fact that EVE Echoes and the EVE universe at large is essentially a player versus player experience. I'm not talking about actual ship-on-ship PvP here, but a player-driven market is PvP competition. It's player versus player on the market. Yes, obviously all wars and actual ship-to-ship combat is PvP as well, in that kind of situation. Obviously ratting's PvE, but you get what I'm trying to say here. There's a lot of PvP goes on in EVE, and actually I don't PvP as much as some of you seem to think I do. I always get accused of, I'm just trying to push forward my personal agenda of the playstyle I play. Interestingly enough, I don't really PvP all that much in small roams. I'll join the occasional small roam, I'll join call to arms fleets, I mainly rat and explore. That's kind of what I do in the game, so I kind of don't agree with the, you're just pushing your personal agenda. No, I'm really not. I have so many different characters in this game that sort of do all aspects of the game that I'm not really sold to any particular part of it. I'm here to promote the game and the community at large, not any one individual aspect of it. Number 6, personal citadels now have a corporation ticker properly prefixed to their names in Overview. Huzzah! This now means that if you fly into a new system, you scan down a corporation citadel, you can see if it's Catskull, or Void, or Nilf, or whoever, Pantheon, Genfed, Silent. It has the actual corp ticker at the front of it, so you know who the owner is. After the maintenance scheduled at 0800 UTC, September 15th, players will no longer be able to set the exit reinforcement time of individual outposts or corporation outposts for Wednesday 6 AM till 12 PM UTC. The exit reinforcement times that have already been set for this period will be automatically postponed for 24 hours and take effect next time the outposts enter reinforcement mode. This is a key point because it meant that a lot of people could actually, essentially just push drop their citadels just before or just after a maintenance, and it made it very difficult then to actually deal with any station that had been dropped in that time because of how reinforcement timers work. Glad to see it's being fixed. It's a nice little change there. Number 8, this one confuses me. Added new models for offices. Ooh. Are we getting new stations, like new station graphics or stuff in-game as well that's adding all these kind of things on? Is this new models for like the enhanced structures and things like that? I have no idea what this is. I wish sometimes these patch notes were a little bit clearer than what we get, but at the same time, that vagueness does give me a little bit of excitement to kind of like, ooh, what are they talking about here? I'm looking forward to seeing this tomorrow. I've got no idea what this is. Perhaps a graphic for having corporation offices set to a certain citadel. Maybe the citadels themselves are changing model. I don't know. Number 9, unfinished chat messages will no longer be cleared when passing through a Stargate. Huzzah! The amount of times I start typing a message and then my autopilot hits the next station, Stargate, and I have to just sort of close the chat, wait for a moment, then open it back up and continue typing. Oh, it's horrific, and sometimes I get caught out when I think I can finish typing and hit enter before I complete the jump, and it just doesn't happen. I lose the entire message. This has been one of those bugs that has been annoying me, bugging me, you could say, since the open beta, so I'm super glad this has finally been fixed, and now I can talk to my heart's content whilst autopiloting from system to system. Number 10, added descriptions for normal orders and future orders in the market. Now, from what I can gather here, this is all about like just giving tooltips and information like that so that the newer players can understand what's going on with those, which to me, again, is a really important thing because these are not necessarily clear from their name. The concept of a sell order or a buy order, who is actually selling, who is actually buying, things like that, just having things a little bit clearer for a new player to understand is pretty cool. Number 11, a navigation mail will be sent to notify players after their capture layer outpost is unanchored. This, again, is really useful. You get notification mails and navigation mails you get notification mails when your station is attacked. So getting one to let you know that it's actually been unanchored as a way to jump you straight to that point is pretty cool, because if you had forgotten to bookmark it when you unanchored, it can be difficult to actually find a station. You might have to manually scan it down and get it. And if you're in a race there to just get to that station and grab it and you didn't set a bookmark, well, it's every second counts. And if some enterprising individual gets there ahead of time and happens to grab your station, that really sucks. So this just adds an extra layer of safety there. If you forgot to bookmark your station's point when you unanchored it, at least the mail will take you directly to it now. Number 12, only members that have transaction permission can accept corporation insurance contracts. Makes sense. It's, you want certain people to be able to do this. I do kind of wish that it was its own permission rather than just transaction, so we could assign it to other people, but hey, that's something for the future. At least this is a step in the right direction. Number 13, insurance contracts can only be accepted when you are representing your corporation. All received ISK will go into the corporation wallet. Now, I wasn't aware that that was a problem, that you could, fulfill insurance contracts from a separate corporation. I know you can forward them to another corporation, but I didn't know you could accept and choose to do that. That's a bit weird. That's a bit weird. Clearly, this feels more like a bug fix than anything else. Now you have to be in the corporation that has got that contract in order to fulfill it, which makes sense, and the ISK goes straight into the corporation wallet. 14. Now players that have the permission to manage citadels can unanchor level 1 add-on structures. Unanchored structures will be directly delivered to the delivery hangar of the corporation citadel. This is huge. This is absolutely huge because it gives a little bit of modification ability. Again, slightly sad to see that you can only anchor level 1 add-on structures. I don't think there's a way to downgrade a structure. So if you you anchor a structure, you then upgrade it to level 2 and then decide you don't want it, you're stuck with it. But I suppose by time it's giving you a trial period, I suppose, that you're kind of anchoring that structure, trialing it out at level 1, deciding if you want to keep it. And if you go, yeah, actually, I want to keep it, you upgrade it and it becomes a level 2. To me, that's it makes sense. It makes sense. And if you unanchor it going straight to the Corporation Citadel delivery hangar, again, makes sense. Bug fixes. Fixed an issue where players would be directed to the same channel they created when logging in with different characters from the same account. Yep, that's pretty cool. Sometimes you've got characters in different alts in different corporations. You don't necessarily want to be joining the same channels with all of them. It's nice to have the choice there. Number 2, change the name of some items. Again, I'd like to know what items have changed. I'd like a full list here, please, Netties. Don't just wait for me to log in and check every blasted item in Eve Echoes. There are thousands. I don't want to have to check the names of everything. But I suppose they'll become apparent over time as people look at them and go, hang on, was it always called that? I'm hoping that these are good name changes and not necessarily giving in to the public demand. Like, for example, the light recombination device. I get that that's not an overly clear name as to what it does, but I do like the fluff that it has. I really hope that we don't suddenly see, as much as it memes me, we don't see it being a missile collision accelerator and a missile burst aerator and stuff like that. And I really hope that it's even worse. I really hope it's not something like cannon damage rig, cannon activation time rig. I like the sort of fluffy scientific sounding names. They give an element of suspension of disbelief. You are immersed in the game. It's a level of immersion that comes through those unusual names. And I get that they're not always easy to understand. Trust me, I get that. There are times when I've sat and gone, what the hell is this thing? But when you sit down and play with these things, eventually it does become clear, and that immersion is kind of the point. You're a starship engineer, for crying out loud. You are a human being capable of rebuilding and modifying starships. So that's kind of a key point here, that, you want to be immersed in that. Not everything has an easy to, obvious name to start with. Same in real life. If you want to be a car mechanic, like, if you know what a carburetor does, then awesome, but to a layman, what the heck is a carburetor? I know what a carburetor is. I can hear my wife going crazy in the other room going, you know what a carburetor is? Yes, I do, but the point is, it's not named easily. Like, fuel pump. It's obvious what a fuel pump does. Stuff like that. So it's part of the immersion. I do hope they've not taken that out. Number 3, we changed the description for when Data Analyzer and Relic Analyzer cannot be used. This is basically when you go to activate a Strength 2 Analyzer on a Strength 3 or 4 box. It now has a proper text pop up to give you the idea of what is actually going on there. Again, really nice. I don't know, I look at that and I go, how was that particularly confusing? Were people confused as to what was going on there? But I guess clarity is always good, especially if it's just a pop-up like that, so that's pretty cool. I personally didn't struggle with it, but if you did, it's being changed. Anyway, folks, that's everything for this week's patch notes analysis. Again, I am really excited about this new freighter raid, September 18th, 1700 UTC for going up against me in Knossos Labyrinth, and Demon Zell is on September 19th at 1900 EDT, which I think I recall seeing somewhere might be around 2300 UTC. Check it online, Google that, and make sure you are there. I think these could be really fun events. We've learnt a lot from the original Freighter Raid events. I was helping out with those in the background, helping to try and coach the pilots, the new Capsuleers, as they were going in there and having a go at it. I personally thought they were, okay for the most part. We learnt a lot. There are definitely a lot of painful learning points in there, but I still personally quite enjoyed watching. I thought it was interesting seeing a new player to EVE Echoes basically sort of trying to figure things out and seeing what was going on, and it did the job. It introduced a lot of new people to EVE Echoes, and that's always a good thing. Anyway, let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. No, do not ask me for tips and tricks about the Knossos Labyrinth raid. I couldn't tell you even if I wanted to, and trust me, I don't want to tell you. I want everyone to have fun figuring this out on equal footing. Anyway, let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. Happy sailing, and see you in New Eden!